Awele arrived in the small village of Umoma with her mother after what felt like the longest journey of her life. The once vibrant young woman with a radiant smile now seemed like a shadow of herself. Her head was bowed low as they walked through the dusty path leading to their house. She couldn't ignore the whispering voices of the villagers who stood at their doorways pretending to be busy but clearly gossiping. "That is her," a woman murmured, nudging her neighbor. "Awele, the glorified virgin. Imagine, she had no womb after all." "What a waste," her neighbor replied, shaking her head. "Even the girls who were wayward in their youth give birth when they get married. So what was all her dignity for?" Awele's heart broke the more at their words and cruel comments, but her mother tightened her grip on Awele's arm. "Don't listen to them, my daughter. God sees everything. He will fight for you." Awele nodded silently, but tears flowed down from her eyes. The shame and stigma of her failed marriage felt like an unbearable weight on her shoulders. Back at home, Awele locked herself in her small room and refused to come out. The house that was always made lively by her laughter whenever she was around now felt quiet. Her mother tried to cheer her up, bringing her favorite meals to her room, but Awele barely touched them. "Mama, why did this happen to me?" Awele asked one evening. "I kept myself pure. I followed all the rules. I lived a good life. Why am I suffering like this?" Her mother sighed deeply. "My daughter, I wish I had answers for you, but only God knows why. All I can do is pray for Him to restore you." Every night, Mama Awele knelt by her bed and poured out her heart to God. "Lord, please, don't let my daughter's life end like this. She has suffered enough. Show us your mercy." Meanwhile, Auntie Ngozi, Paulo's outspoken aunt, was busy spreading the news of Awele's failed marriage. She took delight in sharing every detail, often embellishing the story to make it more dramatic and sweet. "Can you imagine?" she exclaimed at the market one day. "Awele, the girl who acted so perfect, doesn't even have a womb. Her body is as empty as anything, as if the womb was invoked out of her. And my poor nephew, Paulo, had to find out the hard way. What a disgrace." The women around her gasped in mocking shock, shaking their heads. "So all that talk about being a virgin was for nothing?" one of them asked, laughing. "Even the so-called bad girls are better off than her." Auntie Ngozi smirked. "Exactly. Awele is nothing but an empty disappointment." Awele's mother would often overhear snippets of those cruel remarks whenever she went to the markets, and the shame weighed heavily on her. She would sometimes cry herself to sleep. One evening, as she sat with Awele, she broke down. "Awele, this is my fault. If only I had taken you to a proper doctor instead of that herbalist all those years ago, maybe this wouldn't have happened." Awele reached out and held her mother's hands. "Mama, please don't blame yourself. You did what you thought was best for me. I don't hold anything against you." "But I failed you, my daughter," she said with tears. "And now these people won't stop talking." "Let them talk, Mama," Awele said bluntly. "They don't know my story, and I won't let them define me." Months passed, and Awele began to get over Paulo, and slowly she emerged from her shell. She started sitting outside the house, watching the villagers go about their day. It wasn't easy because every look from them felt like judgment, every whisper like a knife to her heart. But she was determined not to let their words break her. And then one morning, she told her mother, "Mama, let me go to the market for you today." Her mother was surprised. "Are you sure, my daughter? You don't have to." "I want to," Awele replied. "I need to face the world again." Awele walked to the market, trying to give herself courage. She could feel the stares and hear the whispers, but she kept her head high. Isn't that Awele? Someone murmured. She has the guts to show her face here. She's really brave, another one said. But what is bravery without a womb? Awele ignored them and focused on her task. She bought everything her mother needed and returned home, exhausted but proud of herself. When she got home, her mother smiled. "Well done, my daughter. I am proud of you." Over time, Awele began to regain a sense of normalcy. She helped her mother with chores, visited the markets often, and even started chatting with neighbors who showed genuine kindness. One evening, as she sat under the mango tree, she whispered a prayer. "God, I don't know what the future holds for me, but I will trust you. Please give me the strength to keep going." The sun was beginning to set as Awele balanced a basket of vegetables on her head and walked back home. She had spent most of that day at the market and was exhausted, but there was a certain peace she felt now that she had started venturing out again. The chatter of the villagers and the sound of birds filled the evening air as she walked. Suddenly, a young man in a hurry turned a corner and bumped into her, causing her to stumble slightly. "Oh, I am so sorry," Awele quickly said. She hadn't even seen him coming. The young man stopped and his face was filled with guilt. No, it's my fault. I wasn't looking where I was going to. Are you all right?" "I am fine," Awele replied calmly. The man nodded, clearly relieved. "Thank you for not being angry." Awele gave him a small smile before walking away, but as she walked away, the young man turned to take another look at her, intrigued by her politeness and composure. 1 week later, Awele and her mother had gone to the market to sell fresh vegetables. The sun was high and the day felt longer than usual. By the time they decided to pack up, the two women were tired but satisfied with their sales. As they walked home, Awele saw a familiar figure approaching them. It was the same young man who had bumped into her the previous day. He was carrying a small bag and appeared to be deep in thoughts. Awele greeted him politely. "Good evening, sir." The young man looked up and smiled as he recognized her. "Good evening, it's you again. How are you?" "I am fine," Awele replied, already preparing to walk past him. But her mother stopped her. "Awele, who is this young man?" she asked, smiling warmly. "You haven't introduced him." The man stepped forward and introduced himself. "My name is Chuka, ma. I am the son of the late Professor Obinna. I just returned to the village." Awele's mother's face lit up. "Ah, Professor Obinna's son? Welcome back. Your father was a good man. We have missed him here." "Thank you, ma," Chuka said with a wide smile. "It feels good to be home again." Chuka noticed the heavy baskets Mama Awele was carrying. "Let me help you with that," he offered, taking the basket from her before she could protest. Awele frowned slightly but said nothing. She walked quietly beside her mother as Chuka carried their bag all the way to their house. That evening, as Awele and her mother prepared dinner in their kitchen, her mother couldn't hide her curiosity. "Awele, why were you so cold to that young man?" she asked. "He seems kind." Awele hesitated, stirring the pot of soup in front of her. "Mama, I wasn't cold. I just don't want any problems." "Problems? What kind of problems?" "You were polite, but I could see that you were trying to avoid him. Why?" Awele sighed and turned to her mother. "Mama, there is no point in getting close to any man. What is the use? I have no womb. Even if someone likes me, it would never work." Her mother paused and her heart broke for her daughter. She reached out and placed a hand on Awele's shoulder. "My daughter, not all men are like Paulo. Chuka seems different. He's polite and perhaps more exposed. You shouldn't judge every man by one person's actions. Mama, you don't understand, Awele said. I can't go through that kind of pain and rejection again. It is better to keep my distance. Her mother sighed. I understand your fear, Awele, but don't close your heart completely. Sometimes God brings people into our lives for a reason. Just be open-minded. Over the next few days, Chuka began to visit their house more frequently. He would bring small gifts like fresh fruits or bread and spend time talking to Awele's mother about his father and his plans now that he was back in the village. Awele, however, kept her distance. She would greet him politely and quickly found something to occupy herself with. But Chuka didn't seem discouraged. One morning, as Awele was washing clothes by the stream, Chuka came by carrying a bucket. Do you mind if I sit here? He asked, pointing to a nearby rock. Awele shrugged. It is a free village. Chuka smiled. You are always so serious. Do you ever smile? Awele glanced at him slightly. Maybe, Chuka asked. I think I will make it my mission to see you smile more often. Awele shook her head and returned to her washing. That evening, Mama Awele noticed that Awele seemed more thoughtful than usual. As they sat on the veranda peeling cassava, she decided to probe. Awele, what do you think of Chuka? She asked casually. Awele hesitated. He is kind. And? Her mother prompted. And nothing, Mama, Awele replied quickly. He's just being nice. Mama Awele smiled knowingly. My daughter, sometimes people are nice because they genuinely care. Don't push him away. Give him a chance to be your friend. Awele sighed thoughtfully. I'll think about it, Mama. True to his nature, Chuka didn't give up. He continued to visit and find ways to spend time with Awele, and soon Awele began to open up to him slowly. She learned that Chuka had spent years in the city working as an engineer, but had returned to the village to manage his late father's property. However, she made it clear from the start that friendship was all it could ever be between them. Chuka, I need to tell you something before we continue this friendship, Awele said one afternoon as they sat under the mango tree. Chuka leaned forward curiously. What is it, Awele? She hesitated for a moment before speaking. I don't have a womb. It was damaged years ago and I can't have children. That is why my first marriage ended. I don't want to deceive you. Chuka was silent for a moment, taking in her words. Then he said softly, Awele, thank you for telling me, but that doesn't change how I see you. From all you explained, what happened to you wasn't your fault and no one should judge you for it. But I can't have children, Chuka, she said emotionally. What kind of life would that be for myself and any man? Chuka smiled gently. Marriage isn't just about having children, Awele. It is about companionship, love, and building a life together. Where I schooled, women sometimes chose not to have children and no one judges them. You deserve to be happy. It is different here. Anyway, I just wanted to tell you because I don't want to deceive you, Awele concluded. Over time, Chuka's feelings for Awele deepened. One evening, as they sat together outside her house, he paused and said, Awele, I want to ask you something important. She turned to him. What is it? He looked into her eyes and said, Will you marry me? Awele stood up and shook her head. No, Chuka, I can't. Why not? He asked in confusion. Because I don't want to involve you in my problem, she said. You deserve someone who can give you children and a normal family. Chuka reached for her hands and assured her, Awele, I have thought about this a lot I know what I am asking for. You are not a problem, and I don't see you that way. I want to spend my life with you. Tears filled Awele's eyes. But your family won't agree. They will never accept me. I am a grown man, Chuka said firmly. I know what I want, and that is you. My mother may have her opinions, but she doesn't control my life. Awele shared Chuka's proposal with her mother, who was overjoyed. My daughter, this is a blessing from God, she exclaimed. Chuka is a good man, and I am sure he loves you. But Mama, what if his family doesn't accept me? What if they make life miserable for me? Awele asked. But her mother shook her head. Awele, no family is perfect, but the Chuka I see is willing to stand by you no matter what. Don't let fear stop you from being happy. News of Chuka's intention to marry Awele reached his mother, and she was furious. One morning, she stormed into Awele's compound furiously. Mama Awele, she shouted, making sure to draw everybody's attention. I need to speak with you right now. Mama Awele stepped out of the house cautiously. Mama Chuka, what is the matter? What is the matter? Chuka's mother repeated unbelievably. You are allowing your daughter to deceive my son. How can she think she can marry him when she doesn't even have a womb? Mama Awele took a deep breath. Mama Chuka, please calm down. My daughter is not deceiving your son. Chuka knows everything and he still wants to marry her. For your information, I will never allow it. Chuka's mother declared, I want grandchildren and your daughter can't give me that. Tell her to stay away from my son. When Awele heard about Chuka's mother's outburst, her heart sank. That evening, when Chuka came visiting, she spoke to him with tears in her eyes. Chuka, we can't do this. Your mother will never accept me. I can't come between you and your family. Chuka sat beside her and took her hands. Awele, my mother is my mother and I respect her, but she is not my commander. I am a grown man and I make my own decisions. I choose you. But she will make life difficult for me and even you, Awele argued. I don't want you to suffer because of me. Chuka smiled. Awele, I am not afraid of challenges. I will stand by and protect you. I know what I want and I want you. That evening, Chuka returned home and sat down with his mother. She was still fuming in anger, but he spoke calmly to her. Mama, I respect you, but this is my life, he began. I love Awele and I will marry her. I understand that you want grandchildren, but there are other ways to have grandchildren. My real blood. And if that is your only concern, I promise you, within 2 years, you will have 2 grandchildren. His mother stared at him, and her anger slowly turned to resignation. Chuka, you don't understand. This isn't just about me. People will talk. Let them talk, Chuka said firmly. What matters is my happiness. And Awele makes me happy. I need you to respect my decision, please. Chuka's mother sighed deeply. Fine, but you better keep to your promise. With his mother reluctantly agreeing, Chuka and Awele began planning their future together. Awele's heart was still heavy with worry, but Chuka never stopped reassuring her. Awele, I know this journey won't be easy, but we will face it together. You are worth it. Tears filled Awele's eyes as she whispered, Thank you, Chuka, for everything. Awele smiled, believing that happiness was still possible. It wasn't long before Paulo received the formal message from Awele's father. He was summoned to come and get his bride price, a clear sign that Awele was ready to move on. Paulo hesitated for days before deciding to go. Deep down, he knew he had no right to refuse, and the earlier he went, the better for everybody. On the day of the meeting, Paulo sat silently as the elders discussed the necessary formalities. His eyes darted to Awele, who sat quietly beside her mother. She didn't look at him, and for a second, Paulo felt a tiny bit of regret, but he looked away. Shortly after the bride price was settled, Chuka married Awele in a loud and joyful ceremony. The villagers who had once mocked her now marveled at her luck and praised Chuka's boldness. Chuka did not waste time at all. Once they returned to his base in the city, he took Awele to a renowned fertility specialist. The consultant, Dr. Adams, was a kind and experienced man who took his time to explain all their options. "Your eggs are healthy, Mrs. Chuka," Dr. Adams said with a reassuring smile. "That is a good sign. Although your womb cannot carry a child, surrogacy is a very viable option for you and your husband." "Surrogacy?" Awele asked in confusion. Dr. Adams nodded. "It means we will fertilize your egg with your husband's sperm and implant the embryo into another woman who will carry the baby for you." Awele's eyes widened. "So the baby will still be mine?" "Completely," Dr. Adams assured her. "Genetically, the child will be yours and your husband's." Awele looked at Chuka with tears in her eyes. "What do you think?" Chuka squeezed her hand and smiled. "I think this is our miracle, Awele. Let's do it." The process of finding a surrogate mother wasn't easy. Chuka and Awele met several candidates before finally selecting a kind and healthy young woman named Amara, who was excited to help them fulfill their dreams. The medical procedures began, and after weeks of anxiously waiting, they received the news they had been praying for. "It is successful," Dr. Adams announced during one of their visits. "The embryo has implanted." Awele burst into tears and her heart swelled with pride. Months later, after what felt like an eternity, Amara gave birth to twin boys. Awele's joy was indescribable as she held the babies in her arms for the first time. One had Chuka's strong jawline, while the other had his bright smile, but both of them had Awele's expressive eyes. "Thank you, God," Awele cried. "You have given me double for my troubles." When Mama Awele and Chuka's mother arrived for Mugo, the traditional postpartum care, the house was filled with laughter and celebration. The two grandmothers doted on the babies, each holding one baby in their arms. "They look just like Chuka," Mama Awele exclaimed, marveling at the boys. "But those eyes, they are Awele's." Chuka's mother, who had initially opposed the marriage, was equally amazed. "Awele, you have given us a gift we can never repay. Thank you." Awele smiled. Her heart was full. She had found her place in the world, surrounded by love and hope. 6 months after the twins were born, Chuka and Awele received an invitation to a wedding in a neighboring city. It was a chance to dress up, reconnect, make new friends, and celebrate life. They decided to bring their boys along, eager to share their joy with others. As they entered the grand hall, Awele noticed a familiar figure standing near the entrance. It was Paulo. He was older now, and his face was marked with weariness. When his eyes met Awele's, he froze with shock and disbelief visibly written all over his face. "Awele," Paulo said. Awele, who was carrying one of her sons, walked up to him with a warm smile. "Hello, Paulo. It's been a long time." Paulo's eyes shifted to Chuka, who stood proudly beside Awele, holding one of the twins. "This is my husband, Chuka," Awele said proudly, introducing him. "And these are our sons, my twin boys." Paulo's jaw dropped. "Your sons?" Yes, Awele said as her smile grew wider. With God, all things are possible. Polo looked at the twins with their bright eyes and playful smiles. He could see the resemblance to Chuka and Awele, and at that moment, regret filled his heart as he realized what he had lost. I am happy for you, Awele, Polo managed to say, even though it did not reach his heart. You deserve this. Thank you, Polo, Awele replied gently. I wish you all the best too. As Awele and Chuka walked away, Polo stood rooted to the spot, watching the family disappear into the crowd. His heart was heavy with regret, knowing he had let go of a woman who had fought so hard to rise above her struggles. For him, he had not been able to move on. He couldn't bring himself to be with another woman, and the loneliness he had tried to ignore now consumed him and made him miserable. Back at the wedding, Awele and Chuka laughed and danced with their sons resting safely in their arms. Awele felt a sense of closure after meeting Polo. She no longer held any bitterness, but rather gratitude for the life she now had. As they sat on their bed that night, Awele said to Chuka, "Thank you for believing in me." Chuka smiled and pulled her close. "I didn't just believe in you, Awele. I believed in us." Awele slept that night, feeling completely at peace, knowing that her past had led her to the happiness she now held in her hands. Thank you for watching this story. Kindly share your thoughts about this story with me. What did you love about the story? And also, what did you learn from the story? Share the story out with your loved ones. Give the story a thumbs up also. And subscribe to this channel if you've not done so by now. Until I bring another story your way. Bye!